What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and it's fight week for UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo, and I'm gonna give my main card breakdown and prediction. And of course, I always start from bottom to top, never the other way around. So I'm going to go in order. It's a pretty decent card. You know, in the co-main event, we got Belal, Muhammed, Gilbert, Burns. It was originally going to be Oliveira versus Beneil, which was the better fight, but that won't happen until a month later. We got Andrade, Xianon. Andrade returning to strawweight. We got the return of the undefeated Evloev taking on Mitchell. And Kron, Gracie's back, and he's taking on Jourdain. And I'm going to start with that fight. Right off the bat, I got to say that I don't like this fight for Kron Gracie, and I don't really like Kron Gracie's style. I feel like he's way too one-dimensional. I mean, he's a high-level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's very dangerous, you know, on the ground. Very dangerous grappler, but that's all he has. And I just see Jourdain being prepared for that one thing he has to worry about, and that's the grappling, pretty much. With that being said, Kron Gracie doesn't really have the best wrestling to go with his jiu-jitsu to get the fight to the ground, so I don't think Jourdain will have a tough time defending the takedowns, meaning it's going to come down to the striking, which I think favors Jourdain. He's way too dangerous, too powerful, too scrappy, and ultimately I do see Jourdain winning this fight, and I could see him winning by a knockout. I mean, Gracie's pretty tough. He could survive, but all in all, I think Jourdain's going to win regardless. And moving up the card, we got Mosvar, Evloev taking on Bryce, Mitchell. Evloev is undefeated, and he's coming off a dominant win over Dan Ige. Hasn't fought in a year, but, you know, injuries have kept him out of the scene for a while. Mitchell just suffered his first defeat. Well, his record does say he has 2 losses, but I guess his first UFC loss to Ilia Topuria, who is a very bad style matchup. But I don't think this style of matchup is any better for him. You know, it's a grappler versus grappler matchup. Both guys have good wrestling as well as grappling, but I think Evloev has better pure wrestling. He's got very good takedown defense. I think his takedown defense is better than Mitchell's. So I don't really see Mitchell successfully being able to get this fight to the ground. And even though striking is something that has kind of plagued Evloev throughout his career, in his last fight against Dan Ige, his boxing looked more sharp than it's ever been. He looked really good on the feet. And Mitchell has decent stand-up, but compared to what we saw in Evloev's last fight, ultimately I do see Mosvar Evloev picking apart Bryce Mitchell in the stand-up, defending takedowns, outboxing him, and I just think all around he's the better fighter with more of a bright future. He's just got more momentum right now, and I don't know, I just got more hope in Mosvar Evloev in comparison to Bryce Mitchell. I don't really see Bryce Mitchell going that far. He got exposed badly against Ilia Topuria. I think Evloev would do way better if he fought Topuria, so yeah, I got Mosvar winning. And I'm going to say that Evloev wins this fight via decision. Now, moving up the main card, we got Jessica Andrade versus Xianon. Jessica returning to the strawweight division. This is a very difficult fight to predict because Andrade is a very tough fighter. She's a savvy veteran. She's been at it for a long, long time. And she's really good, you know, and she manages to win a lot of fights, you know, even when she's at like a technical disadvantage, and a skill disadvantage, she makes up for it with her tremendous durability, her strength, her power. She's got great cardio, and she's relentless with her pressure. But yet again, she finds herself at a technical disadvantage. She's at a speed disadvantage. Xianon is the better striker. I think Andrade is going to want to use her grappling in this fight because she does have good grappling. She can take girls down. Lately, she's not been resorting a lot to her offensive wrestling, grappling, but she might want to do that. Carla Esparza was able to take down Xianon. I cannot see why Andrade can't. Andrade is way stronger than Carla Esparza, and she does have pretty good top control as well. But if Andrade tries to play this on the feet, Xianon is just simply going to pick her apart. She's got a very good side kick, which could negate the forward pressure of Jessica Andrade. She could use that to keep Jessica at bay. Jessica's very open to that straight right cross. Rose caught her with that a bunch of times. Weili caught her with that. And Xianon can catch her with that as well. Even if it won't pack as much power as a Rose or Zhang Weili, I think it will still be effective. Her jab is very good. Her overall defensive footwork is very good. So it's a hard fight to predict. I can really see Xianon winning, and I'm tempted to pick her. But you know what? I'm going to go with Jessica Andrade to win this fight. I feel like I trust her more. I feel like she can stay tough. She can take shots of Xianon. I'm going to predict that Xianon is going to win the first round against Jessica. I'm going to predict that Andrade is going to test her chances on the feet in the first round, dominantly lose the first round, the striking. Then I think round 2, Jessica Andrade is going to just switch it up and start using her grappling, impose her physical strength on Xianon. Xianon won't be able to stop the takedowns or get back up. And I'm going to say that Andrade will probably be able to maybe work her way into a submission somewhere late in the second round or somewhere throughout maybe the beginning or middle of the third round. Or Andrade maybe just grinds Xianon out to a decision. But a Xianon dub would not surprise me. She's been working with Team Alpha Male in the last year, and that gym has worked diligently on helping Yan to improve her defensive wrestling, grappling since the Carla fight. So maybe she will have improved in that aspect, but I'm just not sure if it will be improved enough to neutralize Andrade if she does choose to wrestle. And I just feel like all in all, Andrade is kind of always a safe bet unless she's fighting a Nami Yunus, Yun Jacek, or like a Zhang Weili. And of course, Xianon is not on their level. So based off that, I'm going to favor Jessica Andrade, but barely. Now moving on to the co-main event of the evening, Belal, remember the name, Muhammed versus Gilbert Darino Burns. Belal Muhammed has got a good win streak going on right now, and he's very close to a title shot. All he has to do is just get past Gilbert Burns, and he's next in line. But he's got a tough uphill battle to climb going up against Gilbert Darino Burns. Burns is different from anyone else Belal Muhammed has fought and beat on this long win streak he's been on since 2019. I think Gilbert Burns is a very tough matchup for Belal. Gilbert Burns has good takedown defense. He's got the BJJ threat. He can handle himself on the ground if it does go there. And on the feet, he's very dangerous for Belal Muhammed. He's faster than Belal Muhammed. He's got a massive power advantage over Belal Muhammed. He can box with Belal Muhammed. I see him ultimately doing more damage in every exchange against Belal. And I can even see him scoring knockdowns on Belal Muhammed. And Muhammad's been dropped before. And I think Burns is going to win rounds just through dropping Belal Muhammed a bunch of times. I think he'll handily win like maybe the first 3 rounds. But Belal might be able to survive, and if he does, I can see him maybe winning the 4th and 5th round, but it being too late and not being able to get a finish. Because let's be real, even though he finished Sean Brady, he's not really a finisher. I can't see him finishing Gilbert Burns, so if anyone's going to get a finish in this fight, I see it being Burns. Burns can win this fight by knockout, he can win this fight by submission, or he can win this fight by decision, so I got Burns getting this one done. Gilbert is just on a roll right now. 2-fight winning streak over Neil Magny and Jorge Masvidal. And I think he's going to extend that win streak to 3, end Belal's win streak, and spoil his title shot hopes. And I think Burns is going to be the one who moves forward to fight for the belt. Now, let's get into the main event of the evening. I'm very hyped about this matchup. Triple C is back after a 3-year layoff, and now he's getting a title shot at the more active Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, the bantamweight champion of the world, who's on an 8-fight win streak. This is a very tricky fight to call. Both guys are very good, and I've not had good luck predicting either of these guys' fights because The last time I picked Cejudo to win was Sergio Pettis in 2017. Since then, he's proven me wrong with DJ, TJ, Bryce, Cruz, and then same thing with Sterling. I picked against him a lot as well. The Jan fights, should have been right about one of them, but it is what it is. I picked him to beat TJ. I picked Corey to beat him. I picked Rivera to beat him. I was 50-50 on the Pedro fight, but that just goes to show how good both guys are, that they can just prove anybody wrong, and neither man should be counted out by anyone. I think on paper, it is a very close matchup. It's a tough fight for both men. I think stylistically, Henry Cejudo does have the advantage. Because of his wrestling background. He's an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. That is no joke. So that's going to make it very difficult for Aljamain Sterling to take him down. Cejudo's got very good takedown defense. But then the striking is very close because Aljamain Sterling has more tools in terms of kicks, and elbows, knees, and he's very tricky and unorthodox on the feet, and he's very capable on the feet. Like, he's not really outmatched in the stand-up, but I do think Henry, his stand-up overall is a little bit more polished. He's cleaner in terms of his boxing than Aljamain Sterling, but Sterling can make himself deceptively hard to hit. And not to mention, Aljamain Sterling has a massive height and a massive reach advantage against Henry Cejudo. So even if Sterling, let's say, can't get a takedown, the striking, I think Cejudo will still struggle on the feet regardless. And it doesn't matter how many takedowns Aljamain Sterling fails. All he needs is one, and it could be one and done, or through a failed takedown, he could find a way to scramble to Henry Cejudo's back. And we know once Aljo gets your back, like he says, it's a wrap unless you're Peter Yan. So Cejudo's got to be perfect in this fight, you know? He's got to be perfect with his takedown defense. He's got to be careful when they get in scrambles, because Sterling can be very sneaky with the back takes, is very persistent with the takedowns, and one way or another, he always finds a way to get his opponents in the worst position possible to get the finish. Aljo's setups in terms of getting takedowns and back takes, they're just too good, and Henry, he's got to be very careful, very wary, which I think he will. He's a smart guy, and he has a very smart team behind him. I think he's going to be prepared for any types of takedowns of Sterling, and he's going to be ready for the back takes, because that's Aljamain's best weapon. It's a very interesting fight because Cejudo is the better wrestler than Aljo, but Aljo is the better grappler than Cejudo, and it will all come down to whose style will shine, the grappling of Sterling or the wrestling of Henry Cejudo. And then on the feet, will Aljo be able to keep that range, keep Cejudo at kicking range, or will the short, stocky, powerful Henry be able to get on the inside and get into boxing range? It's really anyone's fight, and I'm not confident either way, but if I had to pick, gun to my head, I'm going to go with Henry Triple C Cejudo. He just always knows how to win. He always finds a way, even against the toughest of opponents. And like I said, style-wise, he does have the advantage. He can defend takedowns of Aljamain Sterling, and he's got very good fight IQ as well. I think he can outsmart Aljamain Sterling. And as far as the striking, I think Cejudo, he can play it technical, but he can also play it dirty as well. You know what I mean? I think he can outbrawl Aljamain Sterling, and he can knock him out as well. I think Henry Cejudo has a power threat against Aljamain Sterling. I can see him working the body of Aljamain Sterling and just keeping that pressure on Aljo and keeping a high pace on Sterling to get Sterling tired, and just not letting Aljo, not giving him that space he needs, not letting him keep that range. And I think that inside dirty fighting ultimately is going to favor Henry Cejudo. I'm going to predict that he's going to struggle early. I think he's going to lose the first round on the feet, but he'll defend takedowns. But I think, like the Bryce fight, I see Cejudo adjusting and turning up the heat, turning up the aggression once he gets confident from stopping all the takedowns of Cejudo or of Sterling. And I don't think Sterling will be able to keep Henry off of him if he cannot get the fight to the ground. However, there's no point in this fight where Henry is safe. At any moment, Sterling could just out of nowhere take his back and sub him. Like, Cejudo is not safe. He's always going to be in danger until he finishes Aljamain Sterling, but I think he can finish Sterling, and I understand he has not fought in like 3 years, but if anyone can come back from a 3-year layoff and, you know, get back the belt against an active top guy, it's Henry Triple C Cejudo. Like, he can do anything. He can beat anybody at 135 pounds or 125 pounds. Does not matter. And I'm going to predict that I'm going to predict that Henry Cejudo gets a late finish against Aljamain Sterling. Sterling can finish him late as well, but I'm going to say that Henry wins this fight via TKO. And ground and pound, very similar to how he finished Marlon Moraes. I think Sterling will be tired. I don't think he'll have enough strength to whip up a submission off his back once he's exhausted, and both are going to be sweaty in the late rounds, so getting a sub is going to be impossible, and I just think he's going to get beat on, and the ref is going to stop the fight. Or Triple C could blast him with one big shot. Maybe he catches Aljo with a knee as Aljo shoots for a sloppy takedown. He's got multiple different ways that he can end Aljamain Sterling. And if he's going to win this fight, it's not going to be a decision. I feel like either way, someone will get finished, whether it be Aljo by sub or Henry by KO, TKO. But I'm going to swing the way of Henry Triple C Cejudo. And new, I think he gets the belt back. But I could easily be wrong. Aljo could prove me wrong again. Aljo probably is the safer bet, but I'm going to risk it here. And I'm going to put money on Triple C. However, that's it for my breakdown and prediction for UFC 288. Let me know your picks in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe, and peace out.